Okay, so when you estimate radicals, it's important for you to have these special numbers memorized, your perfect squares, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, all that. Okay, you do not have a calculator when you do this. So, having these numbers, you got to have them all memorized. So, 52 is between what squareable numbers? So, it's between 49 and, so it's between 49 and 64. Okay, so then, therefore, the square root of 52 should be between a 7 and an 8. It should be somewhere between a 7 and an 8. So now we're going to guess the best to one decimal place. So this wavy equation sign, or equal sign, means approximately equal to, because it's just a guess, 7 point. And now you got to guess. So what do you think 52 is closer to, 49 or 64? 49, so I'm thinking it's closer to the 7. So my guess would be something like a 7.1 or 7.2 or 7.3. Probably any of those answers would be acceptable. You can pick. If you had probably guessed anything of those, I would mark you correct. Okay? You don't have a calculator, but let's just go through and see how accurate we are. The square root of 52 is 7.2. Would be the best guess. Okay, square root of 19. So 19 would be between a 16 and a 25. Therefore, your answer should be somewhere between 4 to 5. Approximately, what do you think your best guess is? So again, I'm looking at 19. Where am I closer to, the 16 or the 25? So I'm thinking I'd be a little bit closer to the 4 end. So again, 4 point, you can guess. 4.2 would be a good guess. 4.3 would probably be a good guess, something like that. And if you're wondering, it actually came out to that. Okay, this is the square root of 0.8. What is 0.8 between? Actually, there's something missing on here. 0. 0, the square root of 0 is 0. So 0.8 is between those. Therefore, the answer will be somewhere between 0 and 1. So what end am I closer to, the 0 end or the 1 end? The 1 end. So I'm going to guess 0.9 is my guess. Okay, did that trick you in your brain? Are you thinking, well, when we square root numbers, don't they always get smaller? Okay, when you square root numbers that are decimals and fractions less than 1, you actually get bigger. Okay, watch this. The square root of a half, okay, or 0.5, it will go bigger. Now it's 0.7. Okay, so there's something you know about numbers now. If you square root a decimal number, it actually gets bigger, okay, versus square rooting big numbers go smaller. Okay, and this last one, 60. So I'm looking up here, 60 would be between 49 and 64. Therefore, my answer would be between 7 and 8 somewhere. So if it's going to be like that, it'll be 7 point. And then I got to think about 60. Which end would it be closer to? Probably closer to the 64 than it would be to the 49. So I should get myself closer to 8. So something like 7.7, 7.8, some kind of guess in there. And again, you might have this, your partner might have this. I'm going to mark you both correct as long as you're using a good educated guess. Okay, let's talk about cubed roots. Okay, cubed roots. So now we're doing a triple multiplication. Okay, so 1 is the cubed root of what? So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 is the cubed root of what? So 2 times 2 times 2. Did you pick 8? 3 times 3, what are you up to? 9. Times another 3 gets you to 27. 4 times 4 is 16, and then another 4, so 16 times 4. Do you know what 16 times 2 is? 32. Can you double that? 64. 5 times 5 times 5, so 5 times 5, we're at 25, and then times 5. So can you think about money? If you have 25 cents a quarter, and then you have 5 of those, how much money do you have with 5 quarters? You'd have $1.25, right? Okay, and 6 times 6 times another 6. I don't know if I would expect you to know that one. I would say for sure the first 5 you better have memorized. I don't think I'd probably put this one on a test. That might be too big. Okay, 6 times 6 times 6, so 36 times 6. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. Cubed roots. So 10 is between 8 and 27. So the cubed root of 10 is somewhere between the cubed root of 8 and the cubed root of a 27. Therefore, it's somewhere between a 2 and a 3. So it's got to be somewhere between a 2 and a 3 on a number line. Which one are you leaning closer to? The 2 side, because 8 and 10, that's pretty close. So I'm going to lean towards the 2 side. So something like 2.1 would be a great guess. Okay, do we know, you're not allowed to use your calculator, but do you know how to use the cubed root function on your calculator? Okay, so grab your calculator because this is just good to know how to do on your calculator. Okay, some of you might have a button. So here's a cube button, here's a cube root button. You just have that button on your calculator. Okay, and some of you might not have it. I don't have that on my calculator. Okay, so what do? This button, everybody would have this button called the x root of something. So you can do the any root of something. So I want to do the third root of something, the cubed root. So I'm going to push 3, and then I'm going to push that any root button. Do you see that button? The X root of something, the any root of something, but I had to push 3 and then that button. Okay, I'm going to push equals here. Our guess was 2.1, 2.15. Okay, cube root of 50 is next. So 50, to me, 50 would be between the 27 and the 64 numbers. So it's between the cube root of 27 and the cube root of 64. So therefore, the numbers will be between 3 and 4. Okay, where are we putting 50 in the mix of this? Closer to one side or the other? What do you think? It's almost a little bit in the middle, hey? Do you want to just do a 3.5 then? It's kind of somewhere in the middle-ish. Okay, it's just an estimate, so as long as you're making sense out of it. Okay, the cubed root of 100, so that 100 would be between a 64 and a 125. Therefore, this number will work out to be somewhere between a 4 and a 5. Closer to 5. So 4 point, and all I'm really looking for is something over 4.5. So 4.6, 4.7, something in that kind of way.